Welcome back. Covering a political debate of this size is a Herculean effort, and that's both behind and in front of the camera. Now, spending his night inside the spin room on Wednesday in Milwaukee, our own political reporter, Will Kenneally. Welcome to the studio. I know you don't get to see this much.
I know. First time on the couch, actually. We were mentioning that before. Yes.
You're usually at the Capitol, somewhere else in the field. Long night Wednesday?
Yes. We are well rested, though. Don't worry, Mom. We have slept.
Talk to me first about how you prep for covering a debate of this magnitude. Walk me through the day. How do you prep for it?
Yeah, so we're actually in Milwaukee kind of throughout the week, just kind of talking to people on the ground, getting a sense of like what Wisconsin is looking for, what voters are listening for when these candidates meet and spar on the debate stage.
Now, you spent most of your night, once the event actually started, inside what's called the spin room. Before you talk, I want to roll a few clips from what that looks like, sounds like inside.
I gotta do something. I'll be back.
As the 8 Republican candidates made their way through the spin room here at the Fiserv Forum, it was businessman Vivek Ramaswamy continuing some of the barbs traded during the debate, including with former Vice President Mike Pence.
And I think Mike Pence kept coming at me with the experience differential. I think that's a great thing, because I don't think the people in this country are interested in going back to people who recite slogans they memorized in 1980.
Both candidates took shots at each other after the debate, fielding questions from reporters.
I was just standing up for the conservative agenda that I've always stood for throughout my life. And where I saw people on the stage that are just wrong about American leadership in the world, or wrong about policy here at home.
For Pence, a centerpiece of his debate performance was talking up his record as Indiana's governor and as Donald Trump's vice president.
I think I'm the most qualified, the most proven and tested conservative in this race today.
But Ramaswamy argued here in Milwaukee it was time for someone new.
If you want somebody experienced who has actually been part of the system that's given us all of the problems that we're suffering today, go with the guy who crashed your car 20 times. Turn over the keys to him again.
Coming back to you. So that's where you're spending your night. What is the spin room? What's its purpose?
Yes. So I hope the viewers get an appreciation for like just how hectic this is. It looks as hectic. It is as hectic as it looks inside. So essentially, everybody's kind of waiting for the debate. They give reporters an opportunity to just kind of watch the debate, take our own notes, kind of gather our own information there. And then we have campaign officials kind of come out and essentially kind of clean up whatever was said on the debate stage. So, for example, if a candidate talked up their foreign policy experience or something, these campaign officials will come out, talk to reporters, kind of extend the narrative of, hey, our candidate really outshone their performance on things like foreign policy experience. The other interesting thing that I saw during this spin room this past week was you either have campaign officials or you have candidates themselves. And it's been an interesting kind of review to see which side the candidates fall on. Essentially, if a candidate maybe really liked their debate performance, they might come out, show their own face and say, hey, this is me. We did a great job tonight. If there's maybe a debate performance that they want to just let speak for themselves or maybe want to shy away from, you might have seen more of the campaign officials kind of carry that weight instead of the candidates themselves.
You mentioned performance, which is kind of a natural question. We're reporters. We don't say who won or lost. We don't pass judgment. But I guess who outshone others? What was performance like on Wednesday night? Perhaps who didn't come into the spin room afterwards?
Exactly. So I think you have to kind of be cognizant of the audience. It's not necessarily for the general population here. It's for these Republican primary voters. It's these candidates trying to essentially compete for a strong second place. Obviously, Trump, the front runner, was not at the debate stage on Wednesday. So what I saw essentially Wednesday night was I think all the candidates did a very good job kind of defining the lanes for themselves. You had people like Nikki Haley, former UN ambassador, talk a lot about her foreign policy experience. You had former Vice President Mike Pence talk at length about his experience in the Trump administration, and a little bit about his time as Indiana's governor. So you see these candidates kind of shape these individual lanes for themselves to say, okay, if I want the former prosecutor as my president, I know exactly who I'm voting for because that candidate made that lane very clear on the debate stage Wednesday night.
And to come back to winners and losers, we were talking about this before taping. If I were to define a winner, it's the person everyone's talking about the next day. Who was that?
Yes. So I was going to say this was the one surprise that I saw, I think, kind of Wednesday night, was Vivek Ramaswamy. Essentially kind of running in what would be like a third place behind Ron DeSantis or the second place on the debate stage. Really came out kind of swinging, as it were, kind of in the mix with a lot of other other candidates. He was one of those candidates who actually came out, talked to reporters in the spin room afterward, to the extent where campaign officials, so you have an array of cameras, Fox News, CNN, all these national outlets, the candidates will have live hits on these shows post-debate, where the campaign staffers are trying to drag him away from reporters because he kept answering and answering questions. So I think really interesting from a person who hasn't held elected office before to kind of make a presence known on the debate stage and to be so kind of forthcoming with reporters talking to us afterward.
And you mentioned surprises. I think he's one surprise, at least for me also watching. The other surprise is who didn't make an impression. The person in second place, Ron DeSantis, did not come away with a strong performance or one that even people were talking about. The other candidates didn't even bother to attack him.
Exactly, and I think he's kind of largely running on his record as governor of Florida, and some of the political experts that we talked to say, you know, that is great for a Florida voter, but you have to make that a little bit more relevant for us here in Wisconsin, people in Iowa, New Hampshire, some of these early states. So I think he's kind of working on trying to translate what he would say is his positive, powerful record in Florida to some of these other states. He was one of those candidates who did some interviews on these cable news shows, but didn't talk to the reporters who were there in the room.
Fascinating insight. I'm sure we'll see you again somewhere in the spin room somewhere. And the next, this is not the first, it's the first but not the last debate for certain. We'll see more of you. And coming up next, we are breaking down how the candidates actually tackled the climate question on Wednesday.